Hello, I'm David DeCosmo. Welcome to ECTV Live. I'm joined by my co-host, Rusty Fender. Rusty, welcome.
Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you, my friend. We have one of our regulars back for Red Cross Month. Bill Goldsworthy is with the Red Cross in our area. And welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
You've been busy since we talked to you last.
We're always busy.
A life-saving guest, for sure.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In many ways.
Yeah, in many ways.
And we're going to talk about one specifically, too, when we get into the program. This year has been typical in terms of disaster, I guess.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people maybe don't think about all the time is that you read about the headlines of floods in other areas and hurricanes in other areas, and maybe you don't read about as much locally in those gigantic storms, and yet you're involved in all of them.
Absolutely. We're involved in all the major disasters, of course, around the country. Red Cross is there. I mean, you know, our volunteers really are there because, as you know, I mean, for example, for me, 4 counties I cover, we have 5 employees. We have 400 volunteers.
And the volunteers from here go to those other disaster areas.
If they want to.
Okay.
You sign up to go. I mean, if you're a volunteer, and we're always looking for volunteers in many aspects, and you could sign up to say, yeah, I'll go, I'll be deployed if I'm needed. Mm-hmm. Or you could say, no, I just want to handle stuff locally and help my local neighbors.
But it was an East Coast kind of year this year.
It was.
70 plus inches of rain from Philadelphia to New York State. That was unbelievable and record-setting, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Record-setting for sure.
Absolutely.
And we've been everywhere. You know, and most recently now we're actually had a phone call just today about the tornadoes down in Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, we have somebody that's potentially going down there to help.
14 dead in one town.
Yeah, it's, I think 22 dead so far altogether. It's amazing.
Happens overnight in a blink of an eye.
And we've had tornadoes here, you know, since I spoke with you last
Yes.
week. We had the tornado in Wilkes-Barre Township.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen anywhere. And we're there. And, you know, we were there in Wilkes-Barre for about 4 days, feeding the first responders and all those that were helping, you know, the utility workers, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Every time that you see on our local news a house fire, you can bet your life that there's a Red Cross representative on the scene. And I know when I told you this before, when I was a reporter in the field, one of the first things I'd go to a victim and I'd say, is everybody all right? And the second thing I would say is, have you been told about Red Cross? Now, normally the firemen are very quick to tell you about Red Cross relief efforts, but sometimes they're still tied up, and so I usually volunteer something myself.
Now it's even mentioned now that the Red Cross has already been providing shelter, and the house is still burning, and they're providing shelter. The arrangements already.
Usually we're there pretty quick. Our volunteers are great. The one issue we have, especially in the rural areas, you know, in the outskirts, not in the city. The city firemen know us; they call us right away. But in the rural areas, a lot of times, you know, you have a fire in a rural area, and the fire chief knows you, and you'll say, "Hey, Dave, you know, you're going to go to your brother's place to stay," and you'll say, "Yeah, I'm going to my brother's," and they end up never calling us.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. But we want to be called for every fire, because it's not just that we're going to put you up in a hotel for the night, and we have other ways we can help the families that have been affected by fires.
Not just for the coffee at the time of the scene.
Exactly.
Clothing allowances, such like that.
Exactly, clothing, food allowances. So we want to be called all the time for every fire to help people.
Right.
And again, so for your viewers, especially those in the rural area, you know, if the fire department doesn't call us, make sure you contact us.
Yeah. Now, one of the big campaigns that you've been involved in for the past few years is a campaign to try to not prevent the fire, but to make sure that people who are in their home are aware that something is happening.
And get out alive.
And hence we have the detectors.
Absolutely, smoke alarms.
Now I know Channel 16 had a program where they were giving out alarms, but you folks have been going out very, very, well, how many years has it been now?
About 3.5 years in our area, and our group, our chapter, we've installed over 12,000 free smoke alarms.
So you've not only given them out, you've installed them.
We won't give them out. We have to install them.
Well, that's a good thing, because a lot of folks will put it on the back burner and never get around to it. What's the story with that?
That's right.
point.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And what we do is we make arrangements we do it two ways. You can call us anytime. Give us your name, your address, your phone number. We'll set up an appointment with you, come to your home, install the smoke alarms. The reason why we install them is just what you said, Rusty. Like, we don't want you to just put them on a shelf and say, I'll get to it. It might be too late. We don't want it to be too late. We want active smoke alarms in everyone's home.
And you're tying up people, too, that actually need them, who will install them with someone who just took it because it's free.
Yeah. And what we do, though, is we'll go over an escape plan with you, too, especially if there's little kids in the house. We want to make sure that when that smoke alarm goes off, everybody gets out of the house and you have a specific meeting location. The next door neighbor's house or on the corner. Somewhere so that when you get there, all of your family members are there, so they're all out of the house.
And the name of choice is Kidda.
Yes.
Everybody is hooked up with them. They must be wonderful to work with.
They really are. They really are. And we installed their 10-year smoke alarms, actually. They're guaranteed for 10 years.
Oh.
And that's most important, because that way you don't have to worry about changing the batteries.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They're good for 10 years. And a lot of people say, I got smoke alarms. I put them in when I bought the house 20 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Have you ever checked them is the first question.
Well,
Exactly.
not only that, everybody changes the batteries usually, but smoke alarms are really only good for 10 years.
That's right. So are carbon monoxide detectors. That's why they give you an 8-year life on them.
And people don't know
That's
that.
right.
Because it's called an ionization chamber that's in there. They go bad. So even though you're changing the batteries, smoke alarm might not be any good. We insist, if your smoke alarms are over 10 years, when we knock on your door to do smoke alarms, we'll change them for you.
I have to tell you that we have one, and I don't even have to test it, because I know it works every time my wife makes pizza.
That's a good test in itself.
It is. I say, the pizza's done. And
Make sure you have pizza 4 times a year, Dave, and you'll never have a
we
problem.
know that we're safe then, right, under those
Absolutely.
circumstances. So that's a good thing to know. And Bill, I gather that with these installations, and now you've done it over, you say 3.5 years at this point, I gather by now you know whether or not it's made a difference.
And we know it has made a difference. We have, what we do is we keep track of what we call documented saves across the country. And across the country, we've had over 500 documented saves.
Wow.
And we are, and I won't say fortunate because we hope it never happens, but we do have a documented save here in Northeast Pennsylvania. It was in the city of Pittston, where we installed a smoke alarm. It was about the month of August. That December, one of the homes we installed in had a fire, and I happened to attend that fire that night. I went to it, and the woman ran right up to me and said, "I just want to thank you. Your smoke alarms got us out of the house."
How about that for good
And,
timing, huh?
it's
incredible.
You feel good when you install the smoke alarms. Felt even better when I got
When
there.
they worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? When you got there, it was like, wow, this is why we do it.
It saved a life,
Yeah.
or lives.
Exactly. Last year, we installed nationwide. What we do is we have a campaign called Sound the Alarm, or a specific 2-week period where we go out across the country, the Red Crossers, and go out and install as many smoke alarms as we can within a 2-week period. Last year, we installed 100,000 smoke alarms in that 2-week period, and 40,000 homes are made safer. So we were in 40,000 different homes.
Wow.
This year, we're doing the same thing. We're going out April 28th, and this year, in our area, we're focusing on a section of Wilkes-Barre and Plains. We do different cities all the time. We've been in Scranton numerous times. We've been in Wyoming County. We've been in Wilkes-Barre, Pittston, Hazleton. We focus on major cities first. So we're finishing up Wilkes-Barre and starting in the Plains this time on April 28th. But at any time, and I want to stress, please just call the local Red Cross office. We will install smoke alarms for you at any time.
And you know what I think? 100,000 you installed, which is incredible. But I think it's sad that 100,000 of those people didn't think it was important enough to put one in themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't
Really?
that something?
Well,
Yes.
it's that mindset that it's never going to happen
That's
to
right.
me.
Right.
And they're
Exactly.
very
That's what happens.
inexpensive.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
are.
it's very.
Yeah.
And yet I know, again, from a news point of view, once cold weather hits, I know the fire
On the
reports
rise.
are going to rise
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
people are using either heating systems that haven't been
Kerosene
checked out,
heaters. That's
or
right.
the supplemental heaters
People
that
using ovens
Yep.
that, you know,
Extension
Yes,
cords
can
for
happen.
heaters.
extension cords, which are overloaded in the wintertime. Fires are a dime a dozen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. And you know, in conjunction with the smoke alarm campaign, we do not fire prevention, really disaster education to children. I know I mentioned it one other time I was here, but we do what we call a pillowcase project. We go, oops, better turn it
the
around.
letters
huh?
out here. Yeah.
We go in, we partner with Disney, you can see the Disney characters. We go into 3rd and 5th grade schools, classrooms, and teach little kids how to be prepared for a disaster. What do you take when you have to leave your house? You take all your toys? No. You got to take some clothes, some food, some water. Any more, you got to take a cell phone charger.
You got to take a cell phone and all,
batteries.
all of its accoutrements.
But we go in and we do training, and again, we're up over 15,000 presentations that we have done to our little kids in our area to help get them thinking of how to be prepared for disasters.
And is it the idea for them to think of, well, I need this, so you put it in this case?
Exactly.
Take the pillowcase.
Take the
with you
pillowcase
those-
with you when you have to leave
With
your
those
house.
few things that you
And we-
must have.
Yeah, and when we go to the school, we give them some educational materials actually to take home to their parents or guardians so that, you know, they help enlighten them. And if the little, you listen to your grandkids. So,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know, your grandkid comes and says, "Hey, Pop, you know, are you ready in case there's a fire in the
It'll
house?"
stick with you.
In
It'll
case
stick with
it
you.
does.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah,
So it's a great program, and that works hand in hand again with the smoke alarms. So it's a great program for us.
Sure, absolutely. You also have some material here on the table. I see a comb, I see a razor for shaving.
Yeah, this is
bar
all-
soap. What is this?
Well, again, it's Red Cross Month. March is Red Cross Month, and as you know, the Red Cross is a nonprofit agency.
Yes, yeah.
We receive no government funding. Since Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 40s proclaimed Red Cross Month, every president has proclaimed Red Cross Month for the Red Cross. Because we don't get any government funding, we need donations and we need the support of all the residents out there. And one of the things that people never think of, they say, oh, Red Cross comes when there's a tornado or a hurricane. You mentioned the house fires. These are the kits that we give out at a house fire. So
okay.
these are the kits that we would give everybody, because you're running out of your house, you're not going to grab your comb or your toothbrush.
Yeah,
So when
and yet they're daily needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A washcloth, some tissues, shampoo, a razor. So we try and get you at least to hold over for a day or two. If we have to put you up in a hotel, at least you got some necessities that you need
Right.
before you actually go out. And again, we give you a gift card where you can go out and get clothes so you could go to work the next day. So but this is a very important factor that we use all the time in almost every disaster.
Yeah. You mentioned right at the offset of the program about all the volunteers that you have and how, if they want to, they can even be deployed to a disaster elsewhere in the country.
Yes.
I would think most are probably unable to do that just because of their own family demands, staying local and things. But what do you expect of a person volunteering to help you out? What do you expect of them in terms of time or qualifications, whatever?
Well, we do all the training. So if you want to be trained for something, we can train you. But we have volunteers that we could use for anything. We have a simple thing as sitting at a blood drive, registering people. So you might be a retired individual, you come and sit at a blood drive and you register the folks for us. Or after you give blood, we always give some snacks to replenish your liquids. You can sit there and hand out the water and the snacks. So that's a very easy position. Same as sitting at our front desk at our offices, answering the telephone, greeting the people coming in. Very, very simple. Give us an hour a day, 4 hours a day. Give us 4 hours 1 day a week. We'll take you for anything. We'll take any volunteers anytime. Then we have volunteers that go out to disasters when you respond to a disaster. It could be a local disaster. We had major flooding up in Susquehanna County last year. We needed people to set up a shelter. So what do you do at a shelter? You register people. but you also have to have what we call shelter managers to maintain safety and coherence in the shelter.
Okay.
We have to have people feed the people that we're putting in the shelter. So we need people that know how to cook and prepare meals, or at least, even if we have meals delivered, how to present the meals and prepare them safely for everyone. So there's a lot of volunteers out there that we could use in many aspects. And for those type positions, we do all the training. Red Cross is always doing training. Probably 3 out of 5 days a week, we have some kind of training class going on in
You
our
still
office.
do things like CPR and
CPR,
life-saving.
first aid.
Defibrillator.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing now,
AED training.
AED.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also provide mental health support. We have
How so?
a lot of, well, when there's a fire, first of all, you're devastated. You're losing everything in your
That's
home.
why this is one of the biggest things you could do, because you never
Yeah.
think of this, a fire. Thank the Lord, I've never been in one, but it's got to be what do you think of?
Well, I remember-
certainly not this. This is provided by you.
I remember 2015, the floods. My home was flooded, and I was devastated. It didn't hit me it doesn't hit you until a couple
I'll bet
days
it
later
doesn't. I'll bet
when
it
you look
doesn't.
out in front of your house and see all of your belongings.
You're right.
Piled up, waiting for the payloader to
Yep.
come. Same thing with a house fire. So we do have a lot of spiritual care that we offer people, and that goes on. It just doesn't happen today. They'll call you next week and the week after to make sure you're doing good.
Sometimes they need a little hand holding.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's another major place where we use volunteers, and we're very fortunate. We have a lot of volunteers for that.
I'm going to get back up just real quickly because
Yep.
something just occurred to me. With regard to the detectives, you're going to have this program in April where you're going to kind of focus on part of Wilkes-Barre, part of Plains Township. But if you are in Kingston and are interested, you can still call. It doesn't have to be in that area.
Call anytime, and we make a list, and what we do is once we get 2 or 3 homes in one area, we send out a team we
Okay.
call you and make an appointment with you to make sure you're home. We'll come out and install the smoke alarms.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
One of the things that is always associated with Red Cross is the blood drives that you mentioned. And it just seems the need continues to rise. And I don't know if maybe the demand rises, but I don't know if the supply always rises. So what's the situation?
Yeah. Well, the problem, especially in the winter, is when you have bad storms, blood drives get canceled.
So you lose
So you lose
a couple people,
Exactly.
But the support team's got done so many for the radio stations at Pocono International Raceway, and it was outstanding.
Yeah, they
the
did it.
response from Monroe County and this area
They
as
do
well.
a great job for us.
Amazing.
But we have a lot of consistent blood drives. Like they may be every month at a church or every month at a high school. High schools and colleges do a phenomenal work for us collecting blood. And so in the summer, they don't have classes. So we
so
lose
you
them in the
those.
summer.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the winter, again, storms affect us. And I'm going to brag a little bit. I have a milestone coming up. I'm going to be very soon at my 200th donation.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
I'm
great.
very happy and proud of that. It's
May it never stop.
my blood. Everybody says O is the universal blood. I have AB blood, which is the universal platelets.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And the platelets are used mainly for a lot for cancer patients. So I'm very thankful that I'm able to give, and I give every single month, every 3 to 4 weeks. I donate platelets, and I said I have my 200th donation coming up, so I'm very happy with
Yeah,
that.
That's great.
congratulations.
But
That's
we
wonderful.
have a lot of blood drives. I mean, you could go on our website, redcross.org/blood, and all you got to do is put in your zip code, and it'll give you all the local blood drives, tell you where they're at. Same thing, you could go on there if you want to find out a local CPR AED class, because we train you on AEDs. You could do the same thing, go on redcross.org, and they'll put the zip code in, and it shows you where all the
Is
classes
the
are.
blood stored at your facility, like say in Hanover Township on Middle Road in that area?
Some of it is.
Some of it.
Remember, a lot of blood is a very short life.
That's
You
right.
have to use it within
That was my next
4 or
question.
5 days.
Absolutely.
Depending on what products they're taking out of your blood. The nice thing what the Red Cross does now, and I think it's neat, they'll tell you where they use your blood at. So I get an email like 4 or 5 days after I donate my platelets saying, you know, your platelets were, after satisfying all the local needs, they were sent to wherever, New York. Usually it's New York or New Jersey. If they don't need it locally, New York and New Jersey is where most of our blood goes to if they don't need it locally.
Great thing though, because in this day of wanting to track your package for Amazon and see where your package is, to track your blood, you're keeping up with technology. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's a great program. I think it's neat because it just makes you feel good. Like, oh, they used it. You know, it's gone somewhere.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
Have donations been keeping up with the need?
They have been, they have been, but we're always in need of blood, you know, especially when there's disasters. I mean, we mentioned earlier the Alabama tornadoes.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to have any blood drives down around there because they're in disaster mode. But guess what? They're going to need more blood because there was a lot of people injured. So, you know, it's like one hand washes the other. Like, you got to do both. So it's always in need. You know, blood is there's always a need for blood. And it's not only like people think, oh, well, you know, if there's a lot of bad accidents, you know, a train crash or something, you need blood. No, people need blood every day. I mentioned cancer patients, you know. They do a lot of blood transfusions with cancer patients.
You don't think of that
yeah.
daily basis
Yeah.
in hospitals. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different needs for blood. The March, again, is a month where it's Red Cross month, and at that point we're looking for donations, of course, financial donations, but it's also a time for us to thank all of our volunteers, meaning not only volunteers that give their time to us, but those who give their blood to us. You know, they're volunteering their time and blood to Red Cross to help other people, and that's important. And we like to thank everyone who contributes in some way to the Red Cross during Red Cross month.
Yeah, well, when it comes down to that subject of, you know, thanking those that give, there are also those that have gone well above and beyond the normal call to help others. And Red Cross has come up with a program there. I know I am seated for a couple of years where you actually recognize, call them what they are, the local heroes.
Yes.
Tell us about the program.
Yeah, we honor local heroes every year, and this year our program is set for Tuesday, April 16th at 8 a.m. at the Holiday Inn East Mountain, which is centrally located for us, for everybody, right off 81. What we do is we ask for nominations from the local fire departments, fire chiefs, police chiefs, EMA directors, media outlets, to honor those for the past year, so it'll be 2018 people, if you will,
right,
who saved a life somehow, who made a difference. We have various categories. We have a fire safety hero, we have a law enforcement hero, medical hero, plain old good Samaritan, you know, someone walking down the street.
The right place at the right time. Yeah.
A military hero, animal rescue hero. We honor those who help rescue or help.
I've seen a few of those on the news recently.
Yeah, that's right.
And
So
any kind of emergency services. So they're the categories, and we'll take as many nominees as we can, and we'll filter them down to make sure we feel they're qualified. We have a breakfast and we honor them. Obviously, we have some media people there, and we give them some publicity, and we give them nice awards to thank them for getting involved and making a difference in someone, or in pet case, a pet's life.
Yeah, and over the past few years, you've honored some people, and no question about it, they've saved lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know. So I saw some of the nominees. Our cutoff was just Friday, and I took a quick glance at some of them. I know there's one person who performed a Heimlich maneuver in a restaurant and saved someone's life. I know there was some firemen that pulled out a woman from a burning home. I saw those already. I didn't look at them all yet, but I know those were nominated. And it's always interesting, some of the stories and
yes,
with the difference they make.
Absolutely, and we don't hear about them all the time. So a breakfast celebration like this is really a nice thing to remind people that there are people out there that are willing to go the limit for you, and
Get
not
involved.
they don't always have to be a soldier serving, in another country. I mean, we got some folks right in our own backyard that
Absolutely.
are willing to give their life to try to save yours.
Yes.
And Red Cross is the appropriate agency to recognize that heroism, since you guys save lives in so many ways. You know, the example you set of the one smoke detector that
Right.
saved lives locally. That's great. If I'm interested in training at all, if I'm interested in volunteering at all, if I'm interested in finding out where the local latest blood drive is there a place I can turn to get any and all this information?
Well, obviously, our website has all the information, redcross.org. You can call the local office, any of our local offices. We have one in Scranton, one in Wilkes-Barre, Hazleton, and Wyoming County. Call any of the local offices, and we will get you any information you need and give you the details. The one other quick thing I would like to mention, if I can.
Yes.
On our website, we also have a lot of apps. You know, everybody has smartphones now, so I think even you know, right,
No,
David?
no,
not
Not
yet,
No,
We're getting there.
He's
We're good.
waiting till they're perfected.
We're getting there. That's good. But we have apps for everything. We even have like a pet rescue app. We have apps for first aid, for CPR. There's so many apps out there now that you can get provided by the Red Cross on your phone to help you with everyday living and saving people's lives. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize we have available, but they are. But the best way, again, is our website or call our local office.
Great. Okay.
Donation-wise, just send it to your local office. A lot of people get mad when they see a little donation envelope coming from our main corporate headquarters. If you don't want to send it there, don't worry about it. Send it to us at the local office. We'll process it and take care of it
The
for you.
bottom line is that in some way, shape, or form, that donation could save a life.
Yes, absolutely.
Bill Goldsworthy, thank you for
Thank
joining
you,
us.
Bill.
Appreciate
Good
it.
luck.
Thank you.
Rusty Fender, thank
to
you
see you,
so
Dave.
much. And
Next
Mark
week.
McGlory, our cameraman
Thanks,
and
Mark.
director.
Mark, thanks.
I'm David DeCosmo for ECTV Live. Till we see you again next time, here's hoping all of your news is good.